Hello and welcome to Star. Oh my gosh, this is not Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's a show. It's a show
I
called
called Captain.
It's a show. You can have it. I don't want it. It's a show called Transporter Room 3, where we talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation. At least currently, we do plan on moving on to other Star Treks in the future, but we're working through the Next Generation and having a blast doing it. I am the facilitator of this discussion slash show, not the host. No, no, no. There is no host of the show. It's ruled by committee. I just press the buttons. But I am Natalie, also known as Dark Aardvark. You're on my Twitch channel, presumably, because who are we kidding? I'm terrible at uploading these to YouTube. But you can also catch me on the Twitter at dark_aardvark. That might be that's probably how you got here. But, always be promoting, right? And we're here because I'm just getting into Star Trek, and I was encouraged by lovely people on the internet, chiefly amongst them Robin, who you'll hear from momentarily. But I watched a little cartoon called Star Trek Lower Decks and thought, hey, this little thing that nobody's heard of, the Star Trek property, sounds pretty cool. Maybe I'll look into it some more and illuminate it to the world. Boldly watching what many have watched before is a tagline for this show. And some people who have watched it before me, and more times than me in at least one case, join me in this discussion mostly every week. We were on hiatus for the last 2 weeks, but yeah, life happens. Life gets in the way. But I'm going to pick on Hope. Not pick on Hope.
Yay!
It's been the longest since we've heard from Hope. So,
True, that is fact.
yes, if you wouldn't mind, Hope, please, a little bit about where we can find you and your Trek history.
Well, I'm very difficult to find right now, because Maine is experiencing a winter. It was a 3-storm week last week. It was something, Bob. Yeah, and for the most part, you can find me talking on Twitch, usually here or Milady Saito's channel, or on Voice from the Baltic Star under Sparrow71. My Star Trek history is very generic 90s kid. I watched it with my family, all crammed onto a couch with no breathing room, and I'd have to say that I watched mostly the later half of Next Generation, and then a little bit of all the other series that kind of crowded around there. So I know the memes. I know the memes from the people who create the memes, and old people like me, and so I'm here in that capacity. I'm here to pass on my little stardust of understanding of important things about the series, but I'm not an expert.
Sure. Thank you very
But
kindly.
totally my fault we were on hiatus the last 2 weeks.
Last week wasn't totally your fault. It was only a small modicum of your fault.
If you missed us very, very much, I hope it's a consolation to you that my sister did actually have to come get me in her lifted crew cab.
Yes. Hope barely survived one of the last 2 weeks that we've missed. Risking
And I
life
sat
and
in the
limb.
back. My eyes was one of the bridges, and I don't know.
All right. Thank you, Hope. Robin, same to you, please. A little where we can find you and a little bit about your Trek history.
My name is Robin. You can also be hard to find these days. I'm technically still on Twitter, although I think right now my account's on private, so I'm not really findable that way, I guess.
Oh, well. The link's still down there if you want to keep trying until you succeed.
I can be found here and also on Milady Saito's channel, generally, hopefully again on Wednesday nights. We will. There's been some things, but otherwise, yeah, those are kind of the places to find me right now. I really feel like Hope is trying to outdo those of us who live in Minnesota with all of his snowstorms. because we have had also a very snowy winter, but less snowy, apparently. Nevertheless, I also watched Star Trek, the Next Generation, off and on with my family in the '90s when it first aired. I think I saw actually weirdly more of the like beginning to middle. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always thought that like the Locutus episode was much later in the series than it actually is. But I've also watched, some portion of the original series and the first 5 seasons of Voyager, and did a complete rewatch of all of Star Trek: The Next Generation with my roommate about a year and a half ago. And that was really fun. And I also have seen all of Lower Decks, which is also super fun. But I was thoroughly entertained by Natalie's threads and by the fact that Natalie just knew so little about Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is not inherently strange, except that Natalie is a nerd. I think it'd be fair to say, and so it was more surprising that she seemed to have so few preconceived notions about TNG.
Very little.
Other than Patrick Stewart looked really sexy in his bionic Locutus leather outfit.
I mean, I wouldn't kick him out of the bed for eating crackers.
For trying to assimilate you?
I would maybe kick him out of bed for trying to assimilate me. Maybe. I'd have to hear more. And if he can wear a shorty robe, if Locutus can wear that shorty robe, I might be sold.
It depends exactly what the assimilation process entails.
Tell me more. But this week, we're gonna discuss. We have a real downer and a real upper, at least in my humble opinion, of episodes this week, which is the right order to have it. So we're gonna talk about what I consider to be the stinker first. And that's it's not a bad episode. I just don't like some of them. We'll get into it.
It's another Troy-focused episode,
which would be great, except for reasons that we'll get into.
But it's continual problem with Troy-centric episodes, I would say, throughout the series.
Yeah. So season 6, episode 3, Man of the People. 0.6 on the star date, which is just a little afternoon.
Yes.
I don't know why I like to comment on that sometimes. Probably because I learned that's the only part of the star dates I remember is what the point is. I believe, if I remember correctly,
I have no idea.
It's 0 through 10 for throughout the day, so 5 would be noon, essentially. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I am. If not, what's that?
We don't ever hear a number over 10. So it must be up to 10.
Yeah, it's what I think I remember.
Wow, I don't think I'd ever I never realized.
Yeah.
And decimalizing galactic time makes
fake
sense.
fan. We discovered a fake fan today, everybody.
True.
Oh, yeah? You think you're a Star Trek fan? Tell me what the star dates mean. Which is a trick question, because I think they actually mean different things between different... Anyway.
They mean they're in space.
So we meet a diplomat, and who we're led to believe is his mother.
Yeah, and she acts like someone's mother.
She acts very much like a mother.
But this ship, as has been pointed out when I was reading through some things. Note the ship that they are on, Alcar and his mother, is the Dorian.
Oh, I definitely did not catch that at first.
The Dorian Gray.
Yes.
Of course it is.
Of course. I did make the observation this episode because there was a far off admiral on the little screen in this one, and they're always human or human passing individuals, and often white.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it's the early 90s, but it is Trek.
Unless they're seducing the bad girl.
Wait, what?
because that's what happened to.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I've forgotten her name, but she has really short hair, and she was the security officer.
Oh,
Tar.
Tasha.
Yes,
Yar. Yeah.
they were human passing that white.
So I think it's really, it's just strange to me that there's there's this group of people that have empathy that Troy has like no knowledge of, that Starfleet has been aware of, and there's at least one member of that people's that has a high ranking Starfleet thing, so they gotta have some juice in the Federation, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was really weird that Troy like didn't know anything. You would think.
Oh yeah, if you had like mental abilities like that, you
Right.
would definitely have like species rankings that you discuss in like your freshman
Something,
year
yeah,
or whatever.
you'd think.
Yeah, there'd be a list. There'd be a list.
Yeah, so I just thought it was weird that she had like no idea. Like, I mean, I understand her not being an expert in all of the peoples that have empathic abilities,
But if that woman had actually been that guy's mother, you would think that Loxana would be like all over that. Like, oh man, a lady like me, you know?
yeah,
Like, especially with a high-ranking diplomat. She's a high-ranking diplomat.
right,
Why didn't she know these people?
exactly. So, well, I mean, early on, I think it's Mama Diplomat. She's kind of bitchy, but in a way that I still liked.
Yeah.
And I have a tweet here. How does this man give such a charming smile as he talks how we might all be senile assholes someday? And that's obviously, I was very much feeling Riker in these two episodes. I don't. Not that I need an excuse. He's a handsome man. But that's a comment because I'm rereading 2 weeks later. It's very rare that I go back to these after this much time has passed. So it's like, wow, you were really feeling Riker this week, lady. Yeah. So Mama Diplomat is ancient. Like, I mean, they never give an age for her. Well, actually, no, they do. He does, because the diplomat dude, whose name I can't remember, but he's an asshole, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Alcar,
there we go. His mom dies and is laying on the ground with her arms up like she's like a mannequin or something, which I thought was kind of funny. But I mean,
sorry,
it's okay.
It is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Maybe rigor mortis is different in their species.
It could be. It sits in like right away, just boom, from 0 to rigor mortis.
I really thought Deanna was going to get those markings on her forehead. I thought that was part of the thing.
Something.
But
yeah.
Apparently, this is just the first time he stepped outside the species.
Yeah. But he was really nonchalant about it, and said she was pushing 100 and already sick, which was, an obvious clue. Looking back, for sure. And also right after the mom dies, I pick up pretty early that he's controlling minds, and I say, I'm gonna hate this episode, and boy, do I.
Maylor, by the way, is her as the
gotcha the victim that we meet.
Yeah,
it's always suspicious when you refuse an autopsy.
It is indeed. There's an Ensign Janeway mentioned.
Yes.
So I was looking for Kate Mulgrew this whole time. Maybe that's not the same Janeway.
I don't think there's. I don't know what. I don't know what the fanfic world has done, but I don't think that there's ever any connection.
Any connection, sure.
Made of any kind. Just same name.
I mean, it's a cool little Easter egg, if nothing else.
He's supposed to have come from a long line of
and I don't know
officers. So I mean, it's possible that there's several Janeways from her family that all are in Starfleet or something like that.
And I don't know the time difference between the Next Generation and whatever.
Oh, that's a good
I don't
was
know. So
been.
it might even be. It might have to be one of her ancestors, or just a coincidence. But
I mean, they're around the same time, I think, like within a decade or so of each other, I think. So they're, like theoretically, I think
theoretically
it's possible,
could be
but...
an ensign too. Yeah. They do some Tai Chi. I really should have rewatched these episodes yesterday, but I just didn't. I just didn't have the time. I was busy doing stuff around the house. But there's a weird scene that I hate. I think it has to do with the dude flirting with Troy, because my next tweet after that is boo voodoo mind control sex slave bullshit.
Oh, he invites her over for coffee after the Tai Chi class
That's right.
so that you can explore the mental disciplines or something.
Yeah. All as I remember is that I hated it.
I always think it's funny. I know it's a television conceit, but like, whenever they show the end of a Tai Chi class or something, and they're doing the easy part, and then someone comments, "Oh, those forms are so challenging," and I'm like, that's a television thing that frustrates me. Like, which bit were they doing that was challenging?
Is Tai Chi not supposed to be challenging?
I don't know, but like, it was basically the sun salutations equivalent, I think, that they were showing.
It can be. I mean, I like the only thing I feel like it's one of the, because if I remember correctly, right, this is the one that Worf is leading, right? Isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was great. I love that.
Yeah, which I did like. That was like maybe one of the few things in this episode that I liked, I like that Worf leads like this kind of class too, as well as
That's
like
right. I forgot about
classes.
that. Yeah, I forgot he was leading it. That is adorable. I do like that. Another thing I do like about this episode is it's unfortunate after it's the first. It's after so after Tai Chi, I'm remembering this now. She does the dude asks her to do the ceremony. He couches it that it's. He either outright says or heavily implies that it's
He says it's a funeral ceremony.
It's a funeral ceremony. But it's actually
to remember Maylor.
Yeah, but it's actually him getting mind control over the person. But anyway, after that unfortunateness comes a highlight where Troy is, holy crap, looking so gorgeous. She's got her hair her hair up. She's given a little bit of like. It's like a glimpse of Troy if she starts going down the road of becoming a little more like her mother, sort of thing. So she's got her gorgeous hair is like piled on top of her head. She's got some sexy gray streaks, which I really like. Mm-hmm. I don't like the reason why they're appearing in this episode, but I really like it. We get to see just another example of Riker being kind of. I mean, he's not a perfect character, of course. There's things in the show that we can point to where we're kind of like, that's kind of gross. But we get another A+ reaction from Riker when he realizes that there's something off about Troy. He doesn't just go with it to get a little nookie time. He realizes there's something wrong and it's not.
Yeah.
Not right for he would be taking advantage. It's his non-consensual senses
he does
go
the
off.
powers. Yeah.
Yeah. And extricates himself from it, which I love.
Yes, he's done it several times.
Yeah, he does it several times. It's fantastic every time. Yeah, and then Troy is off the rails being bitchy. She did get infected with what the Mama Diplomat had, but it's not Mama Diplomat. It's far worse.
And what is this guy so touchy about? He's not even doing anything while he's on the ship, and he's all bad mood left and right.
Right?
As by Troy. What is he so irritable about? He got his way.
Right? He's winning everything. He's getting everything he
wants. Is he just a cesspool of negative emotions constantly?
Right?
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about it that way. I'm why is he constantly channeling all these bad emotions?
Well, I mean, I agree it's weird and that's out there, but maybe it could be he hasn't had to deal with it for so long
Oh, he doesn't feel the need to like control it in any way.
And he doesn't, or doesn't even maybe doesn't even have the tools anymore to do so. Like,
because there is that part when you're in a bad mood that feels really good to express it.
Yes.
So he's probably getting the endorphin rush from like constantly
getting high off of being an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also the like I don't know how to put this. Like, I hope this doesn't sound like, I hope people know what I mean, but like, where like he's like, it's like almost like a weird feedback loop, because it's like he's sending his emotions to Troy, which causes Troy to start acting in a bitchy, possessive way, and then he gets irritated with her for acting that way, even though he's the reason why she's acting that way. And so like it just becomes this loop of him, like the very way he like offloads his emotions becomes yet another way that he's constantly irritated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but
no,
like,
I get, yeah.
It's like
when it's his attitude when he's not the one throwing the tantrum, he throws a tantrum to be the one throwing a tantrum. Thing. Yeah. Which, I mean, does sort of fit with the abusive, like, gaslighting bullshit that he's engaged in. So at least there's consistency. Not that, I mean, I understand why these sorts of stories are being told, or are told, and like, I just don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, I will say of the uncomfortable, especially Troy episodes, I feel like this is one that bothers me slightly less than some of the other ones for some reason. I think maybe just
this is definitely not the worst.
I think maybe just because she ends up kind of leaving the episode for a while when they induce the coma, which is terrible, I know, but like, I don't know. It's like, at least then I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know. This episode again.
Yeah, I mean, they go to the hilt with painting him as the bad guy, because I'm reading a tweet here where I talk about, he refers to them as receptacles at one point in time, just like the casual disregard. And like, I mean, I don't want to take anything, because we don't know where his first victim in this episode is from. Like, I don't want to minimize her and like the loss of her, but it's not like Troy is somebody that we would traditionally see used as a, like, oh, nobody's gonna notice that she's gone.
Right.
It is an odd choice from this.
Yeah, like, it's not only is it not just like some random ensign, it's like the ship's only psychiatrist.
Yes.
Counselor, I guess. Like, how do you not, like, I mean, I get I mean, it just seems like such a big, even for somebody who's like a narcissist and has hubris and stuff, it just seems real.
I mean, he
managed to find somebody else real quick right after she went into a coma.
Right.
Like, why somebody no one would notice? Like, why couldn't you have just done that in the first place?
Right. Like,
I mean, he suggests at one point, and this guy's an asshole, so like I don't really put anything in it, but that he thought that since she was also empathic, that somehow it would be, he could offload more emotions on her or something like that. I feel like
I could see that, I guess,
and maybe that's why. Because it does seem like such a, I mean, again, like he is a narcissistic asshole, so maybe he didn't even think, oh, wait, people are going to notice if, like, one of the commanding officers on this ship starts.
Of Starfleet's flagship. Like, not just like, Starfleet ship 4250 that we were too lazy to find a fancy name for. It's like, this is the fucking flagship, jackass. Like, what?
People know about it in the news.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, this is sort of another thing though too, like, because like his defense, which I'm happy that they basically just call complete bullshit on, which I appreciated with Picard later on in the episode. But like, is that this makes him a better diplomat negotiator. And I'm just like, but a guy who is that cavalier about
right?
people, like,
Plus,
I don't buy it. Like,
right?
I don't buy that he's gonna be a good.
Plus, in the entire Federation, you can't tell me there's somebody else who's like, even if they're slightly less good, but they don't have to like murder anybody. Like, you can't. I'll take the B team in this case. You know what I'm saying? Like,
even Sarek unloading his stuff on Picard before he went and did something diplomatic was still reversible. He didn't kill Picard. He just shut him down for a minute, and that was actually like actually important because Sarek we'd actually heard of before.
Yeah, true.
Well, and like we don't like the other thing that is unclear to me that I well, the sense that I get is that nobody knew he was doing this. Like this was his own,
right? Like you would think the assistant would at least
where Sarek was like, you know, has like somebody who has agreed to enter into this with him, but like this guy just does it and tricks people into it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Tricks women under the guise of emotional aid in his favor.
He's sort of I mean, in some ways, he's kind of like the ultimate like
groomer.
Like I was gonna go. I mean, that's true, and now I hesitate to make this connection, but I've already started, so I'll finish it. But like the ultimate like nice the woke liberal nice guy sort of thing. That's just you know, they're not necessarily as bad as an alpha male, but they're like
they found their niche.
Yeah, and it's just like blah.
And they are exploiting a lot of it.
So I just it's I don't know. I mean the other real plus side of this is that we get more like Troy and Riker like will they won't they Sam Diane moonlighting stuff, which I love because those two clearly have some on-screen chemistry together. I hope they got along very well. From my understanding, the TNG crew is all pretty tight in general, and hopefully that's true. But they have great on-screen chemistry together. This is sort of like it's a ship that you really want to have relaunch. At least I do. So I don't know. I mean, we can cover this episode more. We still have more time in the half. For it, but I don't know if we need to. I think it's gonna be more fun to talk about the next episode. Crusher does have the moment where she's like, I was like, damn, Beverly Crusher, like she was leaning over the table talking to Geordi and just like I was like, I'm looking respectfully. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Gates McFadden is a gorgeous woman. Like, I'm not surprised that I found her attractive in that moment, but I was like, damn, girl. Like, she was working it that day on set, and I appreciated it. But let's if anything comes back, if anything comes to our brains about that one, we can always circle back to it. But let's get into Relics, because this one is so fun and adorable and a real nice palate cleanser.
Yes, let's talk about the giant space technology construct that I'm definitely not in love with. It's fine.
I don't know if I'm in. I agree. I don't know if I'm in love with it in a genuine way or not.
It definitely benefits from being paired with the previous episode. Yeah.
I meant the Dyson sphere.
Gotcha.
Like
Oh, you're frozen. No. I think.
Now?
We got to hear you. Yep, we got you.
Okay.
No.
That was me?
Yeah, you were frozen. You were frozen, Robin. You're back now.
I was going to say, I love the Dyson sphere just because it seems like such a wild concept.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Like building this giant ball in space.
Yeah, essentially, essentially putting a planet inside a container. Really, is what we're talking about with the Dyson sphere. I do like to make the joke again that my vacuum walked so this giant spaceship could fly, because my vacuum is made by Dyson.
Well, you know, the irony of that is that in Spaceballs, and I'm bringing Spaceballs into this,
It's the vacuum, yes.
that planet had a sphere around it.
Oh, that's
But the hatch was open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
right.
connected.
Because that's why it's the code with the envelope. Yeah.
I've actually seen a lot of stories with variations on the Dyson sphere. You know, like Ringworld was even its own variation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't very often get to see one on screen. And while the telescopic array, whose name I forget, but I love dearly, is still #1. This Dyson sphere is pretty awesome.
True.
And then they added Scotty on top. So
I know, and I did know that he appeared at. Oh my goodness, that he appeared at some point in time in the Next Generation. But I was very much taken by surprise that he suddenly appeared in this episode.
With Ben Franklin.
Well, without Ben Franklin.
Well, he didn't have to prove shit. It could have been anybody in that transporter beam.
Fair, but how is Ben Franklin around?
Time travel.
Centuries after. That's fair. That's fair. You know what? That's fair.
Didn't you just see Mark Twain, Natalie?
It's true. Fair enough. Fair enough. You got me there.
We're supposed to assume it is in fact Ben Franklin because Scotty deserves it.
Yeah. That's fair. I'll give you that.
I'll be honest. I when I first watched this episode, when I did the big rewatch with my roommate, I found Scotty very irritating in this episode.
Did you? I thought he was adorable as hell, but I think part of that is just because I remember like the old retired, it's like the old retired military guy that's just like a big fucking teddy bear.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it much better this time. I'll be honest. I think it's because like there is something very adorable about him, but also if you have been in a workplace where there are older people, and academia is particularly, I feel like, prone to this kind of thing that should have probably retired 10 years ago.
Oh, for sure. I think I cut him. He cuts through that.
Son.
Yeah, I think he cuts through that for me just because he was trapped as digital information for 75 years. So I think.
I mean, he's perfectly valid why he is. Yeah, as I said, it just was. It's a funny episode in terms of how differently I felt about it in the 2 times I've watched it.
Yeah, gotcha. What do you think's changed in the?
I think I just
because it wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
No, but I think I just am a little less close to some of that that workplace kind of drama. So I was had more distance from it, and I just didn't.
Wasn't a lot of time, but it
I wasn't looking at it through that lens as much anymore. So I was kind of like.
No, I can see that. I've definitely had experiences like that too, and I think I flew right past that mentally though, just because. Well, again, like I mistook you getting at earlier, but it's true. I think for me at least that I would have loved this episode anyway, even if the first episode from this week would have not involved mind control and sex voodoo. But I do think I came in I was just so relieved too that I was not thinking.
I probably need an episode where Troy rescues somebody else.
That'd be super nice.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been pivotal. Well, yeah. I mean, we don't need to see mental sex prisons, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Just Troy goes in, she does the thing, and she saves somebody from something that she's been through. That would be okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, that was I mean, sorry to go back very quickly, but to amend my earlier thing, I mean, that was not the one, but one of the issues with the last episode is she has no real agency in her own
right, and she's
recovery.
Yeah.
From it, I mean, not recovery, but in terms of
right.
putting it into it.
They like making her the damsel.
Yeah.
For sure.
So Scotty.
But
Yeah.
yes, sorry.
So Scotty, no, you're fine. Scotty is just, I find him incredibly adorable throughout this entire episode, and it starts off really where Geordi once relayed that he kept himself in buffer in the transport system for 75 years. He says it's genius, and then Scotty replies that it's only 50% genius because only one of the two of them survived, and that's just it's adorable. Like it's a tragedy because R.I.P. Franklin.
He lost Franklin.
Put an F in chat for Franklin. And the way he lights up when he thinks he's gonna like be taken to engineering to work on things. I don't know. I just I loved it, and I don't. Can one of you two confirm that if Scotty was referencing old TOS episodes, he has to have been because Geordi is trading stories with him later, and I recognize them as TNG episodes that have happened.
It's very likely.
Yeah.
I have not watched all 100 or however.
I mean, that's fair too.
Yeah, I don't remember which ones he brings up well enough.
It's got to be someone's. I would also wear Scotty's outfit.
Yes.
Like in a heartbeat. It's so very close to the white girl fall uniform of like the leggings and the boots and the vests and stuff. Like, I would just wear it. Go grocery shopping or something.
I am currently wearing quarter leggings, so I get it.
There you
go. This is probably skipping ahead, but my favorite part is with Data and Scotty at the bar in 10 Forward. It's probably my favorite scene in this episode.
Yeah, let me.
When Data is bartending.
Yes. And handing the booze. Yeah.
And Scotty says, "So what is it?" And Data says, "It's green."
Yes. And he's like, "It's got real booze in it. Drop it," because Scotty is not a fan of the artificial alcohol. Synthahol, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
So here's the thing I don't get about synthahol. Is that it's supposed to be like beer or wine or whatever, but like doesn't have alcoholic properties, and yet everybody, whenever they taste it for the first time, can instantly tell that it isn't alcohol. That like it's not whatever it's pretending to be. And so I'm like, what is
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wow. Maybe it's got a little like extra lemon zing or something.
Yeah, it seems like it's supposed to be a replacement, but it's like a really bad one. Like I don't.
Why does anybody want to commit to being drunk? I would love to like get intoxicated and just be able to like get rid of it when I was ready. Like that's the whole reason to not get intoxicated. You got to count how many hours you're going to be intoxicated for if you're going to be stuck somewhere. Synthahol a miracle.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised by like the fact that the taste seems to be not up to par.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when everything else is like marveled at. Like, well, I guess the only other precedent I can think of is Troy wanting like real cocoa in one episode as opposed to the stuff the synthesizer makes. I mean, it is nice to know that they're not like it's not flawless perfect.
Yeah.
I just as I said, I always think it's kind of funny that it's like
that it's so regular, that it's so ubiquitous yet so seemingly reviled. Not reviled, that's too harsh, but not thought fondly of. We get speaking of really cool scenes, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I did really like, well, actually, no, it is my favorite because I just remember what happens in there. But there's this whole time, I mean, Geordi's busy working on a problem. I get that, and it's fine. And I knew Geordi would come around and like, I knew what Geordi's arc was going to be this episode. I still thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
There's only one arc for that story.
Right. So I wasn't worried about him coming around, but I did feel real bad. Still, that Scotty had to, like, why wasn't Troy there with him? Like, this man was digital information for 75 fucking years. That's gonna mess with anybody. Like, get him, assign the ship's counselor to him for the afternoon. Like, just make sure he's okay. You know. Plus, not only was
give him the deadlines on the latest standard and like a practice device to like catch up with.
Yeah, like he was locked. He was digital information for 75 years, and the person he was locked in there with died. Like, presumably everybody he knows. Well, not. I guess that's not true because they're a longer lived species. But like all of the humans, certainly that he knew are dead, unless they were children at the time.
First conversation he has with them, where he's all like, "Oh, it must be the Enterprise. Of course it is. Kirk wouldn't leave me here." And I'm like,
right? That's fucking heartbreaking. And then this man has no couch time with Troy the entire fucking episode.
Kirk should not come for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's still around. He still didn't come.
Right.
Kirk, where were you?
Yeah.
That's true.
But the part that I do love from every angle, from a storytelling and just like it was seeing Picard on the original. I assume it's an incredibly faithful recreation of the TOS Enterprise bridge, and seeing Picard on that it was fucking cool. And that and my boy Scotty, he finally got somebody to just listen to him for a couple minutes. I was like, oh, thank you. And of course it was Picard. It makes total sense it was Picard, and it's lovely that it's Picard. And that is probably my favorite scene of this episode. It's precious as hell because you know Picard isn't doing it just to be nice. Like, he does have a genuine interest in listening to this man's stories and stuff. And that was great.
History.
Yeah, he's living history and right up Picard's alley. I also like it too because earlier in the episode, Scotty says that all Starfleet captains are children, which, as a lifelong support person who's never really been management, fucking chef's kiss.
I do love his central advice to LaForge. I mean, in this episode, I have to admit,
it's
where he's
fucking
like,
great.
Didn't
Yeah,
tell him how long it's actually gonna take.
That's like, I think that's another like really endearing part of him to me because he also when I was in the National Guard, I had a sergeant. My direct boss in the National Guard for most of my time in it could like did what Scotty did, like refused to like move up in rank because he liked where he was at. He felt like that was the place where he could better serve everything. And that's like, I don't know. I just really admire that sort of. I mean, it can come from a place of like, it's not necessarily a good thing for people to do because it can be like trying to hide or lack of confidence. But from Scotty, it definitely seems like that's like it's his calling. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, being in his position as the engineer, that's his calling. It's not that he doesn't have ambition, it's that he's doing his calling, you know.
He's reached it.
Yeah. And I just think I just love that sort of I don't want to call it a quirk of a character, but you know, that sort of mindset and thoroughly knowing of oneself.
Mm-hmm.
To be there, I think, is lovely, and adds to my immense love of Scotty that I discovered this episode. Is he this adorable in the original TOS? Surely he cannot be. Is he? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I definitely. I don't know.
He's exactly like this, but even more so because you really have, like, you've seen McCoy a little bit, but you haven't had the full force of with literally anybody.
Sure. No.
Just wait until we get back to TOS and you get to experience the damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a
For reals, yeah. Because that is one of the one of the memes I was familiar with from TOS certainly, and then Make It So from TNG.
Yep.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Buddy is very adorable. He's always adorable.
That's good.
He made the motion picture, the Star Trek motion picture. He really.
That's good.
I thought he brought the tone up.
He's one that I quickly gained interest in learning more about because of this episode. God damn it, it's adorable.
One disappointment for me about this episode is that we did not have a Scotty Chief O'Brien encounter.
That would have been fantastic. Yeah, especially given the situation that they found him. Yeah. I wonder what.
I wanted them to have a dialect off, you know?
Yeah. Oh God. That would have been interesting. Where we at? So I mean, at this point in time, after the conversation with Picard on the oh my God.
Okay.
On the bridge of the original TOS, in the room that makes things out of nothing. Holy crap.
Holodeck?
Holodeck, thank you. You know, the room that just makes shit appear. On the holodeck, we start seeing. It might have happened sooner, but this is where I really start remembering the Geordi starting to kind of realize that he should be listening to Scotty a little more, or that Scotty still has something to offer, even though, I mean, just Geordi is quick to recognize and comment on the genius that is Scotty. But he seems to quickly after that, and for reasons I understand, again, I enjoyed his arc, even if I was frustrated with it for a little while. I enjoyed his arc and understood what it was going to be, even though it was just because he was just so Scotty was so adorable. Otherwise, I would have been fine going along for the ride. But I did want to just like grab Geordi's shoulders a couple times and shake and be like, "Listen to the man." But at this point in the episode, he is starting to Geordi's starting to come around, and the Scotty's batshit plan. I call it batshit. It's clearly not batshit because it worked like a treat. But to use the ship that Scotty crashed into the surface of the Dyson sphere, and use that ship and its shield to hold the massive hatch open because the Enterprise has been sucked into the Dyson sphere and put on automatic docking course.
Yeah. I have some real. I mean, do we think that whoever originally constructed this Dyson sphere that the docking protocols had gotten damaged at some point in the meantime? Because it really feels like they could be a little smoother.
Oh, we lost hope. Yeah, it could have been a little smoother. It seemed like a sort of like a crazy ride.
It kind of did, or like like when you go to a car wash and they, your car jolts forward and backward.
Or like a broken, roller coaster track or something. We have lost hope, which, boy, that's a dark sentence.
Yeah, it is a really dark sentence.
Out of context.
I mean, that is one thing. You are the dark aardvark, so
that's
I guess.
True. Well, we just sent a quick message. Are you going to be able to come back? Until such time, let me see about what I can adjust here. So I'm gigantic and blurry, but we'll do. I'm gigantic and blurry in real life, so you just get a more real experience.
Nope, that's just how I.
That's just how I am. Just I'm big and
Now I
blurry.
look.
So I love that they, and this is where Geordi really realizes that Scott, even though Scotty's information is outdated, his mind is still sharp enough that when he gets, his mind, not his mind is still sharp enough. That's not the way I want to say it, but all he needs is like the new data set, and he's going to be able to help out just fine, sort of thing. I do love that they had to maneuver the whole Enterprise sideways. I mean, they're in space, so it's not sideways is relative, I guess, but they did have to change 90 degrees.
Well, they're inside a giant sphere, so sideways probably is more like
that's true
relevant actually than it usually would be.
But there's no it's not like everybody has to hold on tight or something, or
right,
hanging from the floor. So Hope might be able to rejoin. Oh,
yay!
Don't mind us. You're not Hope. You're Robin. You stay over there.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Tech stuff happens.
I thought maybe you were so angry about me criticizing the docking protocol for the Dyson sphere that you hung up.
How dare you attack my
whatever your criticisms were, they were accurate, and
Yes, we were talking about the whole the Robin thinks there's something, and I agree that there's was the docking procedure, the automated docking procedures broken, or what had gone on? Because it shouldn't have been. If they're automated docking procedures, it shouldn't be dragging people to their deaths.
Oh, that bit, yes, definitely that was broken. I liked the key that was a certain frequency, and since they inhale on all frequencies, it just magically worked.
Yes.
Yeah, I did like that. I did like that too. Actually, that was kind of like one of those neat, oh, oops, big cross technology purposes.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting yanked into the sun isn't a great feat.
Not fun.
I like how it demonstrates impulse speed, though. Because impulse is so much faster than anything we're capable of, obviously, if they cross 93 million miles in even hours.
Yeah. And anything less than 93
million.
Yeah,
I hadn't really noticed that. So so does that, is impulse, what is that supposed to be, the speed of light then? No, half the speed of light maybe?
It's got to be something close to it, because Voyager is not going that slow. Voyager's going pretty fast, and it still took decades to leave the solar system. Oh, that's only 93 million miles. I guess how long did Parker take to get to the sun? Never mind. It's not an important question right now.
It's not entirely off topic, though.
Yeah.
It's not off topic
but
at all.
Impulse speed is pretty fast.
Right. So they're going,
it's and at the speed that you can't use warp inside a solar system. That's one of the Star Trek rules. So impulse speed is the Expanse is 10G, I think.
Roughly equivalent.
Speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except that, without Star Trek technology, you can't go 10G without dying for the amount of time they spent being dragged into the sun.
Yeah. It'd be...
Yeah, because I don't remember. How long did they say they had? Was it 2 hours or something like that? Was that...
something? That's a
it was
super long docking procedure, too. I guess you are going into a Dyson sphere that encompasses was it a star system? Or, I mean, it has a sun in it.
It was a small star system because it was only Earth distance from the sun.
Yeah.
It was ultra habitable zone, but you never saw any of the surface.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was just around the sun.
Clear.
And then there was no bodies. It was just the sun, maybe.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is if it was supposed, because the impression I got was that it was just the sun, and
it
then
harnesses
all of
the energy.
was actually on the sphere, the inside of the sphere itself.
It
could easily take all
out.
of the matter in a solar system to make a Dyson sphere.
For sure.
At habitable zone. Yeah, that's the theory. In fact, the theory's been altered to say that it would probably be a Dyson's cloud. That would be most effective use of the matter in a solar system. It would take all of our planets to make a Dyson sphere at Earth's diameter, is what I'm saying.
That makes
All planets.
All the planets.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's possible that like back when there were actual entities running the thing that like they had like the things that you have on a like on an aircraft carrier, like the big ropes. So
Yeah.
when you're going in, they slow you down.
Just like catch, yeah. Oh god, that'd be something to see. That's what originally why the engines are like set up like that, is so that the
Oh my God.
space rope can come and stop the ship.
You went there.
That's the whole reason. One thing I did learn from watching this episode is that I want a whole series of Scotty's adventures out of Starfleet
Yes.
before putting himself into the buffer of the transporter.
Right.
I want to watch that whole series.
Yep.
Paramount. Listen. Fix your app first, but then
Then
get to the
who is there in the reboot? Who is there a Scotty in the reboot? Who plays Scotty in the reboot?
Some skinny kid. Just like all the rest.
Was it I think it's the kid that died. Wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, I think you might be right.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Way to bring it down at the end of the
Anyway.
episode, Robin. No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm sorry.
I just needed a transition to get us somewhere. So
Well, they need to find someone to cast as old Scotty going on space adventures.
yeah. That'd be delightful.
Yeah.
It could be animated,
Well, that's true, I suppose.
Yeah. Doesn't have
I
Yeah.
suppose I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Okay, Robin allows. You hear it. Powers that be at Star Trek. Robin will allow an animated version of the Scotty adventure. But I think that will do it for us for this week.
Yeah.
Discussing episodes 2 and 3. Anything you two want to circle back on about either of these episodes?
Just I love giant space constructs that are mysterious. Like I think they're great. I could do with some more of that. Gives me good feelings in my heart region.
I wouldn't mind more conversations of Scotty talking to Geordi about how the technology's changed. That was fun. I don't remember any of it, and I didn't understand most of it when it happened anyway, but I did love it and want more of it.
I'm with Hope. At least I definitely want to know what happened with this particular.
It would be
Dyson
nice
sphere.
to get a follow-up.
Yeah, like I want to know, like,
Yeah.
did they leave? Did they leave and just like take all their stuff? Like what
Yeah.
happened?
Can it be? Does Starfleet have the means to like save it? Perhaps.
Right? I mean, that's a huge amount of resources.
Yeah. And why aren't there scrappers out there? Like,
Are there any other people maybe crashed on the other side of the Dyson sphere?
oh,
Maybe-
that's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
call. Yeah.
like,
yeah.
what if there was like 10 different settlements on this? It's a Dyson sphere. It's huge.
Yeah.
There could be other people
Yeah,
there,
so-
all completely alone for the rest of their
Civilizations
lives.
rise and fall that
Wasn't
never
it?
realized.
Because didn't Data say something like it would take us like 26 days or something like that to scan the entire interior of the sphere or something like that?
Yeah.
Like it
Right.
was some ginormous amount of time.
Goodness gracious.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. That'll do it for us for this week. Join us next week when we talk about Star Trek: The Next Generation, Season 6, Episodes 4 and 5. I don't know what they're titled.
5 and 6.
5 and 6. That's what I meant. I was testing you, Robin, and you passed. Good
I
job.
know. Thank you.
Yes.
They will
Someday
never
I'll
figure
make
it.
it to. Someday I'll get that green belt.
Someday. We'll see. But until then, we'll see you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.